Hi, and welcome to Primary Methodology 1, a 20-unit course that is going to help you with your TEFL classes with primary age students. Today we're going to focus on the first lesson and making sure that you make a good first impression and that your students both like and respect you right from the word go, because with primary level students, or indeed kids of any age, if you lose them, it's very, very difficult to get them back. This video is going to be broken into two sections. The first, we'll be talking about two systems of discipline that I've used, and the second will be getting to know you activities that you can use in your class. Alright, so let's get right on with the first part, which is discipline. Unfortunately, with young children, discipline is a necessary evil. If you don't have a strong system of discipline, then the kids will run riot. And this is something that I developed when I was working in Spain with a group of 5 and 6-year-olds who, for the first couple of weeks, really just ran all over me. So, at the beginning of the lesson, you map out the class on the board. So here I just imagine that I have 8 students. Maybe these two are sitting together, these two, and these two. Okay? And you draw a box above their name. When they come into the class and they sit down, you ask them, do you have your book? Do you have your pen, your pencil? Whatever it is that you want them to bring with them. If they have, then you leave it blank. If, for example, in this case, Juan has not brought his book, then we put a line like that. Paula has not brought her colouring pens, so we put a line like that. Okay? Nice and simple. As the lesson goes on, I found that counting down from 5 when you want quiet is a really effective way. Once the kids start to understand what this means, when you get to 0, if any child is still talking, so in this case Alonso is still talking to his friend, then you put a line here. Alright, Paula is not sitting down, you put a second line like that. Okay, so the kids know that when they see you doing this, you want them sitting down and quiet. Okay, and as the lesson goes on, maybe Carmen decides to throw something at Antonio, so we give her a line like that. Alright? At the end of the lesson, this is where this starts to mean something more. Any student that has got a line, you remove them from the board. Okay, so we remove Alonso, we remove Juan, we remove Carmen, Paula. Okay, and that leaves us with 4. Okay, we've got Antonio, Maria, Angeles, and Eva. Now, at this point, you should make sure that any student who's got a cross, you mark it down in your register. This is really good for things like parents' evenings when you explain the cross system. Your child has got 6 crosses this semester. Most other students only have 1 or 2. It can really help in that way. Okay, so that's just an additional thing. The one line, it's fine, don't do anything with that. Alright, now you've got the chance to pick a star of the day. Now what I used to do when I was in Spain is I used to bring a small toy. Now if you teach the kids every day, it would cost you a fortune to bring in a small toy each time. So you might want to use chocolates or whatever, some kind of reward. I found that the kids loved the small toy and they really wanted that small toy. And you choose one of these 4 to be your star of the day. And you say, okay, Eva, it's not you. And Maria, it's not you. By now, Angeles and Antonio are starting to get really excited. And so you can build up the kind of drama. And then you say, okay, Antonio, it's not you. Angeles, you are my star of the day. Okay, you give the small prize, chocolate, toy, whatever, And Angeles is the one that is the first to line up to leave the classroom. Okay, then you gradually bring students out till you have them all lined up, ready to go, and you finish the lesson. Make a note of any time that a student gets star of the day, because again, that's something you can put in your report. Angeles has been star of the day 4 times. Most of the students only get it once or twice, so that shows how good her behaviour has been. Another small thing that I found that kids really love, and they really go for this, is on the way out, get them to give you a high five. But when they hit your hand, don't just like that. I always say, come on, hit me really hard. And they do it as hard as they can. And let's face it, primary school age kids, they can't hit that hard. But when they hit your hand, you make out like it's the most painful thing you've ever received in your life. Okay? So they hit your hand, so painful. Oh, you're so strong. Kids love it. They love the idea that playfully that they've hurt you. And the kids in my class really, really love this. Okay? Now, what's beautiful about this system of discipline, it has nothing really to do with academic achievement. It's all to do with behaviour. And therefore, that means that even the students who are perhaps not as academically gifted as some of the other students in the class, if they behave well, then they will get star of the day and they will achieve or they will obtain something for it. So that's one of the reasons why I really liked it. The second system of discipline, any Harry Potter fans out there, I've used house points. And what we had in my class in Korea was we had 3 houses and I had 3 coloured boxes with a slot in the top. And every student who came with everything that they were supposed to have, book, pen, pencil, they got a little token to put in the house point box. Okay, so they actually got to come and put it in the box, which is important because it's that sense of achievement. If you do it, it's not so great. Now, the other thing you can do with this is you can, of course, reward good answers. Okay, so if a student gives you an unexpectedly good answer, something you didn't think they'd know, oh my God, wow, brilliant, okay, here's a house point, come and put it in. Okay, you can use it again to reward good behaviour. So if one child is being particularly helpful, then you give them a house point. Now, depending again on how many times you see them each week, you might have House of the Week, where that particular house gets some kind of prize on Friday. If you don't see them so often, you might have House of the Month or even House of the Semester, depending on how many different classes you're teaching. But you can, of course, remove house points from the box as well. And I found that simply going over to the box, let's say the 2 members of the orange house are misbehaving, going over to the box and just hovering my hand over the top of the box, the other members of the orange house would be looking around, oh, shut up, because they don't want to lose the house point. The prize that I gave when I was in Korea is that I brought in an Xbox and I gave them half an hour of playing Xbox, or an hour I think it was, or something like that, of playing Xbox as a reward for being the winning house. You choose what you think is appropriate and also what you think your kids are going to go for. In Korea, the idea of being able to play video games in class was just unthinkable, and once they found out that that's what I was going to do, they really started to take those house points quite seriously. Okay, so those are just 2 systems of discipline that you need to implement on day 1. You need to make sure the students understand them, and you need to be firm and fair. The worst thing you can do is empty threats. So again, in my experience, I had a member of staff who would do this, really loud, 5, 4, 3, they'd get to 0, 5, 4, and the kids were they just thought it was a big joke. And you've got to make sure that when you do get to 0 in the first example, you are willing to put a mark even against a good kid who's not behaving. In the second system, if you're hovering your hand over the house points, make sure that you actually do dip your hand in and take some house points out. Alright, once you've established your discipline, then you've got 4 activities that I have used for getting to know you activities on the first day. Now this will probably look familiar to a lot of you. I call it the STAR activity. Now, there are big plus points and negative points to this. In my opinion, this is getting a little bit old and a little bit tired now. Lots of teachers use it, and I've stopped using it now because I would draw it on the board and you would see this look. Okay, we have to do this activity. But if it's something that your kids have never seen before, it can be quite interesting for them to get to know you, and then you get to know them. So what you do is you put your name in the middle, and then a number of pieces of information around. For some reason I've gone with 7 rather than 8 here. So let's add another one, maybe blue. Okay, and the kids have to try to guess the significance of each of these. Now, it might just be that you get them to make sentences. Your name is Liam. You are a teacher. If the kids are a little bit higher level, a little bit older, then you might ask them to make questions. What is your favourite colour? Where are you from? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Get them working in groups to try to guess the significance of the 8 pieces of information around your name. Then ask them to do the same thing. They put their name in the middle, okay, Maria, and then 8 things about them, and then they work with a partner, and their partner has to either make sentences or make questions. Another big drawback of this is that it's quite difficult. And if you've got very young children, then it could be that it's far too difficult for them. In that case, I would recommend using half-completed sentences. So what I mean by that is you might write something like, I am years old, and then they have to guess. Maybe you have them in teams. The team that gets it first, or the team that gets closest, gets a point. That one be careful with. Kids have no concept of how old adults are, and they can be unintentionally hurtful when they say, I think you're about 45. Alright, so bear that in mind. Okay? But this is a really nice way for you to get to know them, and for them to get to know you. Excuse me one moment. Alright, the next one is one that I picked up from a teaching conference in Granada. I would love to be able to credit the woman who taught this to me, but I simply can't remember her name. What I'm not going to do is claim that this is mine. So give the students a piece of paper and have them draw 3 clouds. Okay, and in each cloud, get them to write a question about a different topic. Now, straight away, this is going to be for older primary. Younger primary do not have the capability to do this. But you might say, what kind of things can we ask about when we meet someone for the first time? And you come up with a list here, and then they might choose sports, food, and music. Okay, other examples could be pets, family, movies, toys, whatever you think they're interested in. Then you have them write a question in each one about that topic. So it could be, what is your favourite sport? Do you like cake? Do you like rock music? You're walking around, you're checking. Of course, question formation is something that all students struggle with in English, even up to advanced level. I still get students making mistakes with this. So you're walking around, you're monitoring. It's also helping you to gauge the level of the class. And then they interview their partner using those 3 questions. Then they swap papers with their partner. And their partner has to write a second question about the same topic, a different question. Okay, so maybe here it would be, what is your favourite football team? Then you regroup the students so they're with a new partner and they interview them using the 6 questions. And you can repeat this again so that they have 9 questions and they're regrouped again. But it's a really good way of getting them moving around and getting them asking questions to each other. Okay, so that's the cloud activity. With younger or lower level students, you might want to try the snowball. Now, this is chaos, and kids love chaos. Alright, it's also a really good way of training them that you're going to do something fun, but you also have to help me clean up at the end. You might give each student 3 small pieces of paper, and you might have the words have been jumbled up. So the paper might look like this. Is food your what favourite? Okay, and they have to reorder the words. Or again, if they're higher level, you can have them write their own questions, that's fine. Then you have them screw it up so it looks like a snowball. And when you say go, they can throw the snowball at another student and it turns into what looks like a huge snowball fight. Now, you can imagine already that kids love this. They're in class. This is not how teachers behave. We're not allowed to throw things. But when you hit some kind of bell or some kind of buzzer, everybody has to stop. And they have a snowball in their hand, they open it up, and they read out that question to another student. So maybe my piece of paper says, where are you from? And then they turn to the person next to them and say, where are you from? Okay? And all the other students who have a snowball do the same. Then you say, go, and they all start throwing them again. So you're randomizing the questions in a fun way, and when you hit the bell, they have to find a snowball and then ask that question to a partner. Great speaking activity, and like I said at the end, you can say, okay everyone, before you leave, now we have to tidy up. You're conditioning them into becoming helpful and following rules. The final activity I really like, and it was given to me on a counselling course that I was doing. You need a ball of wool, preferably with different colours, so maybe a couple of balls of wool that have been wrapped together. And you say something like, I am a boy. And another person in the circle who is the same, so another boy, puts up their hand and you throw the ball to them. Okay? So if I've got my students standing in a circle like this, okay, I am a boy, this person puts up their hand, throw the ball of wool, but you hold on to the wool. So hold on and throw the ball. So now the wool is going across the circle. Then this person says something like, I have a dog. Alright, this person says, I have a dog too. And they hold on to the wool and throw the ball. This one says, I am from Seville. Okay, this student is also from Seville. Alright, so they throw and they hold on. Eventually, as this game goes on, you're going to end up with something that looks like that. And if you can imagine that this is multicoloured, what you can do is you can actually lay it out on the ground and you can say, this is our class. Okay? Another thing you might want to do, if you're kind of creative, is you might want to stick it onto a piece of paper and then stick it on the wall. It's something colourful, it's something that students can relate to. They have created this, all through using English. That's it for this video. I hope that I've given you some things that the next time you meet a new class of primary school age students, you can use to get them to like and respect you right from the very beginning. That's it, and I will be back tomorrow with another video from the primary methodology course. Take care.